Welcome to another little tutorial. This is going to be about reference angles and coterminal. I'm going to work these out for you, as you can see here. But I want you to pay attention to how I'm subtracting. Really, I'm not concerned with how I subtract. I know that the answers are going to always be positive, and they're going to be between 0 and 90. So as I'm looking for reference angles, pay attention to how I subtract, what I'm looking to subtract. I'm going to kind of talk you through each time, but hopefully this will make a little bit more sense. As you can see, in number 1, I simply looked at, I had turned around the circle and I went a little bit beyond 360, right? So the angle was 415, so I wanted to figure out exactly what that was, right? So we just subtracted 415 minus 360, and that gave me that little bit left over, which is 55. And I did exactly the same thing on number 2. For number 3, we're gonna have to draw the angle. Okay, so it's gonna take a little bit of practice to get used to negative angles. I'm just imagining going backwards, and each time I hit the horizontal axis, it's a pi, right? Or it's 180 degrees. So I know I went just beyond a little 180 degrees, right? So we turned around, we went from here all the way to negative 180, and then a little bit farther to get negative 200. I'm just looking for the difference between this value and this value. Here again, it's just a simple subtraction problem. Make sure that the subtraction, when you find the difference, you just take the positive angle, even if it's negative. 685 is a very big positive angle, so we can start to go around the unit circle, right? If we go around just one full time, I know that's going to get me 360 degrees. So I'm going to have to go around even more. So you know that each time you hit a quadrant, an angle, quadrangle here, that's going to be 90, and then another 90, and then another 90, and so forth. And what we can do is, as we go around, we can kind of see how long it takes me to get to 685. We do know that if I go 2 full circles all the way around, that's going to be 360 plus 360, which is 720 degrees. And so once I see that, I know I've got enough. So here we're going to go all the way around. That's 360. We're going to keep going a little bit farther. We know that we add 180 more, that's 540. If I add 90 again, I'm just kind of giving you kind of benchmark as we go along. That's going to give me 630. I know it's just a little bit beyond that, almost at 360, or almost at 720, not quite. And I'm going to do the subtraction here. We know that full 2 circles all the way around is going to give me 720. So I'm not quite there yet, so subtract the 685. That tells me what I'm getting. This turns out to be 35 degrees. Okay, now we get into radian measures. Don't let the fractions fool you. It's actually not that bad. Here, we know that if you go around negatively, just kind of like we did before, this is negative pi, and so I've gone a little bit beyond that. We know that we're going to have negative 3/4 pi minus the pi here, right? So when I subtract the pi, I know that I'm going to be getting a whole, right? So 3 over 3, I can make this become 3 pi over 3. We can subtract that to get my pi over 3. The next part is to look at this one. I'm going to say 11 pi over 18, and then it's kind of just like the one before. I'm going to be subtracting pi minus 11 pi over 18. Get your common denominator with your 18s. And then since it's just 1 pi, you're always going to have the same number top and bottom and subtracting. And it's usually this denominator, so I don't really have to work for that to get 7 pi over 18. I'm going to kind of take this, it's kind of the same thing, so I'm going to kind of let you watch the rest of the video. I'm going to speed this up so you can kind of go through it. If you need to pause the video at any point in time, feel free. Okay, so now we're down to number 11, and this is a much easier task. We're not really having to do a whole lot. It's simply we want to know a positive and a negative coterminal angle for each given angle. That means I can't give the angle that's there. So I'm going to add 360 and subtract 360 to make sure that I have at least one positive and one negative angle in my result. So 660 and negative 60 work great. 40, here again, I'm going to add 360 and subtract 360. The downside to this kind of question is if you have a very large positive or very large negative angle, like negative 1,000 or positive 1,200, I might have to add 360 or subtract 360 quite a few times before I get to that value's answer at the end. Okay, for the next few questions, I'm going to do something that's not written. It says find a coterminal between 0 and 2 pi. I'm going to kind of just for practice show you how to add and subtract 2 pi for each one. Obviously, one of these is going to be the correct answer for the problem, but I'm going to have an extra answer in these. So I'm adding and subtracting 2 pi to negative 5 pi over 4. Notice I've found a common denominator with 4, so I went ahead and added and subtracted 8 pi over 4, right? So if I add 8 pi over 4, negative 5 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4 is just going to be basically positive 3 pi over 4. And that would technically be the answer to this question. But let's go ahead and practice and subtract just for practice. Negative 5 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4 is negative 13 pi over 4. So if I'd asked it like in 11 and 12, it would have been just like before. You get a positive and a negative angle measure. In 14, we're going to add and subtract 2 pi again just for practice. 13 pi over 3 plus 2 pi. The common denominator here is going to, again, be the given denominator. In this case, it's just going to be the 3. And so we're going to multiply top and bottom by 3. That's going to give me 6 pi over 3. That's still 2 pi. So 13 plus 6 pi is 19 pi over 3. That's way too big for the answer here. This is definitely outside of 2 pi. If we subtract it, we're going to get 7 pi over 3. That's even then still too big for this problem. If I wanted to finish this out, what I would have to do I would have to subtract 2 pi yet again. If we do that, you can clearly see 7 pi over 3 minus 6 pi over 3 would just be basically pi over 3, right, as my final answer. Let me put that in there. So it'd be just pi over 3 as the final answer for that one. Right, but it's good practice to add and subtract those those fractions. And that was kind of what this exercise was about, getting you used to adding and subtracting with pies and fractions all in the same one. So hopefully that wasn't too painful. You're not going to have a whole lot of these questions ever, but it's good practice for some things that are coming up.